Collin Montgomery, and I'm 16 years old. For fun, I like play video games, watch TV, and work in the Humane Society. I work as at the Stone Theater, checking all the posters and work at take all the tickets and watch free movies for free. I have a brother named Connor. I have a sister named Kelly, my mom, my dad, and a dog named Barbara.
My name is Melissa Montgomery. I have 3 children and a husband. My husband, Scott Montgomery, is an administrator of a hospital. I also work in a hospital system. My 3 children, Collin, Connor, and Kenley. Collin and Connor are twins. They're fraternal twins, and they will be 17 April the 15th, and Kenley is 8. Collin is, like I said, he's a twin, and he was born at about 36.5 weeks, a little early, but not terribly early for a twin. He and his brother both were developmentally delayed until they were about 3.5. We had them both in an early intervention program, preschool, so we just felt like they were trucking along as twins, doing the same thing. We knew they were a bit delayed, but our pediatrician kept saying, they're twins, they're gonna be delayed. The main thing that we noticed with him, my husband is a speech pathologist by trade, so we were keen on the loss of language. So he had acquired some words, and then all of a sudden, he lost language. And that was a red flag for us. But probably more than anything, he started becoming very rigid about his routine, about what he wanted to do every day. You had to go a certain way, you had to have pictures sitting in a certain place. But he never was a stimmer. So a lot of the times when we would talk to his pediatrician about, we're concerned, and she was a friend of ours also, so I think she was trying to not give a diagnosis too early to heighten our concern. So she just kind of said, I think he's just still delayed, give him some time. He wasn't stimming, he wasn't doing some of the other things that people on the spectrum do that were red flags, mainly language loss and the just rigid routine for him. When we got the diagnosis for Collin, he again was close to 4, and I had already done some research, and I think most moms would relate to that, where they've already been on the internet looking up things, and I knew before we ever got the official diagnosis that he met the majority of the criteria. But hearing it and knowing, what's coming, what our future is going to look like, was tough. We, like I said, being a twin, we saw that his brother was going along typically now at that point, and then all of a sudden we have this process where he's almost 4 and he's still not potty trained, and we started thinking about the challenges that come with the diagnosis officially. I think he now, as he's gotten older, recognizes that there's some things different about him, that it takes him a little bit more time to accomplish the things that other people accomplish, but at the same time, he wants to accomplish it. That's important to him. He wants to be able to get a job. Our big challenge lately has been that his brother has started driving. And so he's got that in his head of, I'm gonna do what everybody else is doing, so I'm gonna drive. And so that's been a little challenging for us, but definitely he recognizes I have to work harder to get where somebody else might not have to work as hard. How we got connected to the Grand Strand movie theater was such a blessing. Collin, because he wasn't going to school all day long and being around peers, being homeschooled, we started talking about, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go, Collin? Because school's going to end for everybody eventually. The goal is a job. What do you want to do with your life? So we talked about, what do you like to do? What are some things that are important to you? And he's always loved the movie theater, and he's always loved movies that he watches on his iPad. So we talked about the movies. We said, would you think you could do it working at the movie theater. So we contacted Becky at CAN because she was volunteering doing the sensory-friendly things on Saturdays. And I had emailed Becky and just said, hey, can Collin come volunteer? And she's wonderful. She was like, absolutely, we would love to have him. So he started out volunteering with Becky on Saturday mornings with CAN. And at the same time, we also had called SOS, which is another service provider in Myrtle Beach that had job coaching. And we got connected to Lisa, and we sat down and we met with her about what are the things Collin likes to do. That same discussion that we had had as parents. And Lisa said, okay, I think we're on a good path already being connected to Becky. So then Lisa got involved, and she came into the theater and spoke with Mr. Farmer and Miss Baker, and she said, we'd like to take this to another level. We want to get Collin a job, a real job here. He's volunteered for a while now, and we want him to have a job. And they were wonderful also. They offered him a job right off the bat, and he's been working for about a year now.
Collin's family was one of the first families I met about a year and a half ago. I just started SOS, and they came in to discuss job coaching. And I knew he was working with Becky in CAN and that he loved movies. So one of my first experiences as a job coach was to come to the Market Common Theater and speak with them about hiring Collin. And it was a process. It didn't happen right away, but again, they saw him work, they saw him interact with people and his motivation to work, and he was hired. So they love him.
It was about, I'd say around a year ago. It was spring of 2017. His group approached us and, asked us if he could work for us, that he really liked the movie theater and he wanted to be an employee there, because he had come to some of our showings, and we already had a few kids on the spectrum in our employment, so we thought it was a good fit. And it started, as working door stand where you tear the tickets right here, during the sensory movies, and it progressed from there. Well, he actually cared. I mean, he greeted the customers very, he had what we were looking for in our employees. He had the smile, he had the attitude, plus he was happy to be here. And that's the main thing. It's hard to get a 16, 17-year-old kid that actually wants to work and do a job, and he just loves it. He's very proud of his work, and he lets us know that he has done a job and he's done it well. And we're right there with him. Like I said, the average 16-year-old, they just, it's just a job to them. But the kids on the spectrum, they love life. They're in the world now, and they are so proud of what they're doing. It just brings a whole new attitude to the position that they do. They're so proud and so happy to be here and doing their job.
I have seen Collin progress more comfortable socially. He still has difficulty going into the theater on his own. It's still a little bit dark for him. I have seen him progress in remembering his job duties and being very focused and motivated on doing them correctly. It's oftentimes the ABA therapy process with people on the autism spectrum takes a while, and so Collin starting at his young age of 14 or 15, I think is great. And over the course of the next couple of years, we'll see even greater things, and I'm sure he'll be at that cash register at some point. He really wants to get back there and do the popcorn and the concessions. That's his goal.
So much growth in Collin. I've seen since he's been at the theater, eye contact, greets, he'll come in and he'll say, hey Lisa. He's just very comfortable. His self-confidence, he's walking different. He's got his uniform, he's proud. And that's what I've seen is his self I can never say the self-worth is through the roof.
He loves coming here. He gets so excited. He loves the people that he works with, and he feels meaningful. That's the biggest thing I could say is, I think the biggest challenge we all face when we have a child with any special need is, what are they going to do? But what are they going to do that makes them happy? And this was it for Collin. This was his place. And we've tried a few other volunteer things, the Humane Society, and he likes those things, but he loves coming here, and it is so rewarding to him. You see his self-esteem just boost so much after a day here. I'm sorry, I knew I was going to do this morning. I want him to be happy. I want him to have a meaningful life. I'm sorry, hang on just a second. I think the same thing we all want for our children's typical and non-typical, that they have a life that is rewarding to them, not to me, not to the community, that what matters to them is what they get out of life. I think he's happy. You know, we toss around different ideas all the time about, do we do a business? Do we let him live at home? Do we let him live somewhere else? And ultimately what we would love for him to do is what makes him happy.